Hey, I'm Cesar Pagan, author of Cesar's Chronicles, The Anunnaki in Us. I didn't write this book just to entertain. I wrote it to spark curiosity, to challenge what we've been told about our origins, and to bring ancient knowledge into the mainstream through the lens of an unforgettable story. It's written as a fantasy, but the roots, they run deep into ancient texts and forgotten truth. This book follows Cesar, an Anunnaki being who guides readers through a hidden story of humanity. It's perfect for young minds who crave adventure and adults who are ready to question what they think they know. I believe storytelling should set you free, not just take you somewhere, but help you see differently. So if this resonates with you, I challenge you, read it and explore even further. Cesar's Chronicles is available now on Amazon, $8.99 for the ebook and $13.99 for the paperback. Are you ready to challenge your reality? Let the journey begin.
What if I told you that everything you know is just the beginning? Beyond the veil of the ordinary lies a realm of hidden knowledge, ancient wisdom, and untapped potential. A place where consciousness expands, reality bends, and the impossible becomes possible. You weren't meant to stay asleep. You were meant to awaken. Open your mind, remember who you truly are, and step with me beyond the frequency 369. Hey, before you start the episode, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You want to make a comment? Go for it. It's America. If you catch me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit me with those 5 stars. I appreciate the support. Let's start the show. Welcome back to Beyond the Frequency 369. I'm your host, Cesar Pagan. And today I'm sitting down once again with someone who made a big impact the first time she was on the show. And since then, her journey has evolved in powerful ways. Jenna Tuttle is back. She's a gifted psychic medium, an energy worker, and someone who truly walks between worlds. When we first connected, we focused on her work with the emotion code and releasing trapped emotions from the body. And while that's still part of her toolkit, today we're going deeper into the unseen. We're going to talk about how her mediumship has developed, the messages she's received, the work she's been doing now, and how this chapter of her life has brought her closer to her purpose. And stick around, because at the end of the episode, Jenna's going to do a live emotion code session on me. So if you've ever wondered what this actually looks like, this is your chance to see it in real time. And with that being said, Jenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be back. So much has happened in the last, 8-9 months. Wild.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot. And folks, just to make sure that you don't miss out, go up here to the corner and you'll see the link to the previous episode that Jenna was on. If you guys want to take a look at that after the show. And then once you check it out, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share it. And I would definitely appreciate that. So Jenna, it's been a while. What's new in your world? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, gosh. We talked in September 2024. Here we are, July 25. Wild. Yeah. So in January, after we talked, I left my corporate job. At the time we talked last time, I was just dipping my toe into this, and it was a part-time thing. I'd been doing it a while, but not full-time. So dove head first in January. So it's been about 6 months since I left my corporate job, which I dearly love and still keep in touch with everybody. It was a very good, bittersweet leaving. It was really big change. But yeah, I started full into jennatuttle.com and just full into my business and doing a merge of psychic mediumship, the emotion code sessions, and with my artwork is coupled in there too. So it's all lumped into the same website. And it's been a wild journey, a lot of rewiring of the brain, a lot of meditating, a lot of taking my course. I've taken some more courses, some more Kabbalah courses, some more meditation courses with the time that I've had to kind of expand my vessel and really understand what this work is, and really just been trying to help as many people have as many sessions as I can to get the messages that I need, just so I can fill my bank with stories and success stories and ways that I can help people and seeing where it goes from there. So it's been a lot of that exploratory mode and like I said, rewiring my day-to-day, figuring out how it's all working. And it's a constant learning process. Obviously, any entrepreneur can tell you it's a wild soul search to learn about yourself as you go step into sole proprietorship. So that's where I'm at, doing this
Yeah.
full time now.
No, absolutely. Again, I commend you for taking that step into the unknown. I mean, you knew that you've had these gifts and innately you've been wanting to help people out. But to step forward and just close your past jobs, your career, and then move into something new, open it up, learn how to run a business, and then also learn about yourself, dealing with people in this healing modality. I can only imagine the amount of work, time, effort, stress, anxiety that it may have caused you and stuff. But it seems like you got it together, or at least you look like you got it together. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you for saying that, Cesar. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not always sunshine and butterflies when you're following your passion, that's for sure. There's a lot of the unfun things that you have to learn and do behind the scenes that make it possible. But when I'm in session and in the work, it's worth it all. It's just and when I get testimonials, and I just got a card in the mail from one of my package clients, and it just lights me up, and it's just my why. And I just have to keep coming back to my why. Why am I doing this? And during those tough moments of uncertainty, or those moments where I question things, and I just have to come back to certainty that it is all working out the way it's supposed to. And it's a constant evolution too, the business, my model. And as I help more people, I get a gauge for what more people are needing and what the kind of people that are coming to me are needing from me. And I can tailor to them, because I've always said this, and I said this in our last interview, is that I want to meet people where they are. And there's a lot of business advice out there that tell you to do it this way and that way and this way. And you need packages, and you need this reel, and you need this. And there's a lot of that advice and noise that I'm constantly trying to drown out so that I can meet people where they need me. And right now, really, my whole goal is to help get the word out there so that people can find me in what I do. That's my goal currently.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you know what? We're going to show this at the end of the episode, but just let's go ahead and do it now. How can people find you? And then I'll put that here on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, my website, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. It's literally jennatuttle.com. And I have an Instagram handle that's Jenna Tuttle Medium. Very simple. And then for my artwork, it's Jenna Tuttle Paints. So I kept them separate. I thought about doing them together, but I like to have a gallery of the artwork, as if somebody is just looking for the artwork. I think, if you're in an art gallery, you're not going to hang up pictures of me doing mediumship. So I like to keep them together. They're very much intertwined in me and who I am. But on social media, I have them separate. But on my website is it's all there. All the paintings are there. All the bookings for the psychic mediums are there, and all the emotion code sessions are there, and the paints are there also. And the only thing that I don't have on the website is packages, as like I said, I tailor the packages after we have an introductory session to each person, because I like to meet them where they are, and we can talk more about that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the paintings, and I think you're going to be sharing with me 2 or 3 different paintings that you've done. So we can kind of talk about those and kind of what inspired that artwork later on here in the show, if you don't mind. And then I'll put them up on the screen.
Some of them tied directly into readings, into some of the mediumship. It all intertwines.
Yeah.
It's all energy. Everything's energy. So this first painting I'm going to show is actually a blue jay. And I did this as a gift and this is how this ties into mediumship. I did it for a woman that I read. Her husband came through while we were on the phone in the form of a blue jay as a symbol, as a gift for her, the people that gifted her the reading, readings are always a beautiful gift. A lot of people that I've read have been gifts from family members, and I have gift cards available. But yeah, this is a blue jay that I painted that was a reflection of what we found during her reading. And this other one is actually a series of hands for a bunch of loved ones that somebody had passed in the family. Their mother had passed, and it's all of their hands all mixed together, just as a symbol for them to remember her by, and also just have that energy of that moment of them together. And I have another one of Cheers, which is probably my most popular print, which I thought I would include in here, is 2 scotch glasses that I did that were in honor of my late father-in-law, because he loved bourbon, and it was a cheers to him and his family. And then there's one here of some some birds that are together, some cardinals. And I find that a lot of times people's loved ones come through cardinals. So this was one that resonated with me because I had seen some cardinals out my window that were specific to someone in my family. I think sometimes we see symbols and people try to make something out of nothing. But I think sometimes if you're thinking about somebody and you see a symbol and a sign, then it could certainly be from them. So I'm open to that. So these are just a couple reflections of energy work that I've done, a reflection of paintings.
Yeah, I love it. And what's so cool about that is that I've never heard of, not just met, but I never heard of a medium who actually paints, and is inspired by the messages that you're receiving and things like that. So, and folks, I've seen her paintings and jaw droppers. Okay. Beautiful artwork. I knew you were talented, but when you add that extra ingredient that you were inspired by someone's message or a code or whatever it is that inspires you, that adds something to it. So when I look at your paintings, I feel something about it, and I'm sure the next guy behind me looks at it and might feel something else. It's however you interpret it, but just amazing. So I can't wait to show you guys how this all works.
I
But
think all artists have energy behind their painting, and I think all artists are channels in a way. And I do, and I believe I feel I get messages while I'm painting a lot of times. I feel like that's when I'm in flow. And yeah, every painting that I paint has a deep meaning behind it or a story. I don't ever paint anything just to paint. Well, when I do paint just to paint, it's getting it out of my body, but there's always a message.
I love that. So, Jen, okay. So for people listening who might not really know what is mediumship, like how would you explain what you do?
Yeah. So basically, during a reading, I am tapping into kind of the other side. A lot of times it's loved ones. So a lot of people will come to me. For example, I just had a beautiful, I always find stories to be the best way to explain. A friend's friend got a friend a reading, and she came to me because she was having a really hard time with a loss. And without divulging any information to me, I don't want to know too much. I don't want somebody to say, I really want to connect with this person because I can never guarantee who's going to come through. And beautifully, she had a very tragic loss. And so immediately felt I tap into either feelings, visions, symbols, different ways that I can communicate what I'm seeing to them. And they don't always make sense to me. And I don't always know where they're coming from. I mean, that's part of the beauty of this is it makes sense to them. And it's all about the timing and the coincidence and the meaningful coincidence, if you will, is what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and feeling makes sense to that person. And then I validate it with them. So it's almost like a three-way conversation, because I'm reading their energy and then picking up on images and stories and things that are relevant to them at the time. So, for example, we were talking and I was picking up, I got a really big jolt of that somebody had really tragically passed. And we were able to confirm that it was her boyfriend that had really tragically passed and had a heart attack. And, as we talked further, I was able to talk about specific things she had from him that related directly to her that she could validate. And it could be anything from a t-shirt, a ring, something like that. And it makes sense to the person, but it's just a way for me to help them see the bigger picture that their loved ones are still with them, even if they're not. And people always ask you, like, are they in the shower with me? Are they just staring at me? And I like to think of it more as like they're looking at you from a broad scope. They're looking at you from up above and they can see everything that's going on in your life. And really, a lot of the messages that I get are validating what's going on in their life and how they're seeing something. So another example was I was doing a reading for someone and her grandfather came through and he was basically validating that he was excited for her about moving in with her boyfriend, which again, she didn't tell me any of this until we kind of figured it out together. I just said, he's really approving of something of him. And, we kind of sussed it out together to make meaning of what I was getting. So that's kind of how it works is I just get these messages and downloads. I never know what I'm going to see or hear or feel, but I look for the most validating things I can find. Because, anybody can tell you like, oh, I'm hearing that he's really proud of you. And of course I'd get things like that too. But what I'm really looking for are those concrete examples of, is this something that only they would know or only, paint a picture of something they would only be able to relate to. Or I painted a picture for somebody else about a specific time in the kitchen when they were with their grandmother. And she was like, oh my gosh, yes. And she was validating. She was excited to see that she was taking on the tradition of her and living through her in her kitchen, doing the same kind of thing. So things like that, just stories. And sometimes it's quirks. And sometimes it's, I'll get laughter. I'll hear, somebody giving me some kind of sarcastic comment that makes sense to that person and it doesn't make any sense to me. Or I'll get a download about a Hershey bar. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, oh, we used to go on Hershey vacations all the time. That's amazing. And it's, and it's just to see the look on people's faces and hear the expression in their voice when I can tell them that their loved ones acknowledge that they had these times together or can remember them, or validating even for somebody that, they weren't able to be there at their time of death and they wanted them to know that they understand why, just those types of things. And again, everybody comes to me for something different. And I find that everybody comes to me with just curiosity more than anything. I wonder what's going to come through or who could come through. And the other thing is sometimes I find that people will come to me later, I'll get messages weeks later like, oh, actually, you had mentioned to me something about my aunt. And the next day after our reading, I had a student who had the same name as my aunt confirming that she was really excited about the work that I was doing because that's one of the things we talked about. So there's these like crazy ways that things come through. And like I said, it's not always visions. Sometimes it's visions. Sometimes it's feelings. And I just feel. There was one time I was feeling my hands were just really like clasping together. And we confirmed that was at the end, she was holding his hand. So things like that just come through. And I just try to make sense of it the best that I can. And I just find that I'm trying to channel all the information that I come. And I find that the more of this information I can do and the more readings I can do, the more easily stuff is coming to me.
Yeah.
So that's really how kind of reading works with me. If that gives you kind of just some really good examples of what it can be and what it can do.
Yeah, no, it does. It does because I always think about how do mediums, like when you receive information, like and you explain, sometimes it could be a message, whether you hear it or do you see something, or you have this feeling. Has there ever been anything that just like caught you off guard? Like you had to take a moment and say, wait a minute, should I tell this person this? Do you ever withhold something or do you just go out and say whatever's coming in?
Well, I do set an intention before all my readings because I want to channel only lightness and happiness and joy. So I don't try to find, because somebody could come to me and say like, am I going to die early? Or like, am I going to get really sick? And that's not here when I am here to deliver. I'm here to deliver the light. If I get something that feels off, I will certainly tell them. Like if there's something I'm like, because I have gotten certain times in readings where something came through like, you might want to just check, make sure that you're taking care of yourself or hydrating yourself. So things like that will come through, but it's usually just more helpful advice than doom and gloom. I did have one specific time where somebody was coming, and I did have a thing where somebody was coming through, and it must have been, and it was a suicide. And I was getting really, really, really uncomfortable. And this is the only time that this has ever happened to me. And just things weren't coming through, and I felt uncomfortable. And I just had to be completely honest that I don't think that person that they were trying to connect with was ready to connect with them in the way that they wanted to connect with them. So I just was flat out and honest, and I work everything that I do. I go by integrity. So I'm never going to sell you a package that I don't think you're going to want or that's really going to help you. I don't deliver information that I don't feel is helpful. So when I have never really gotten anything though negative. That was the only time, and it wasn't that I was getting anything negative. It was just more like I don't think they're ready or in a place because sometimes they can get there. From what I understand, there can be some unfinished things or things that they have to work through there. But that was the only time that I felt kind of that really just deep uncomfortableness. And I think it was just a reflection of what happened to them and him. And I relayed that. And then I was able to channel a whole lot of other things for her that were around other people and around the experience and her strength in overcoming it. So I just think sometimes disappointment is just part of this work because people come in with certain expectations and I have to go in with a complete lack of expectation because I never can know what it's going to be or what I can do. And to meet the expectations of the reading, it's kind of essential for me to detach from the expectation of the outcome, if that makes sense.
Right.
So disappointment sometimes comes with the territory, but I've never really gotten anything where I felt like it was negative or anything like that as of yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, as
Never
long as
say
you're
never.
channeling. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're channeling light, right? And like you said, I think you have control over that, right? So if you say your intention for light, that should be what you should be getting, right? So
Right. And
that's
this
the
is
way I
also
think.
why it's important that I had, have mentors to help, and do daily meditation and clearing for myself to make sure that I'm keeping my vessel clean so that I can
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
proper information.
Yeah, I don't think even as a medium, I don't think you want to just be open to anything, you know?
Correct. Yes. Yes. I have definitely daily practices and meditations and chakra clearings and things that I do to make sure that I am flushing out
Yeah,
after
yeah.
and before reading.
Have you ever received a download while you're at the grocery store or just doing something mundane that may have belonged to another person, another client that you had? Do you then call them up and say, "Hey, I know it's been a month, but I was at the grocery store and I got this." And do you ever follow up like that or not?
Usually before reading is when things like that happen. So, like when I was on a walk before one of my readings, I saw this really colorful feather. And as soon as I got on the line with her, I was like, I think there might be something here. And turns out there was something, I can't remember exactly, but there was something with a peacock with her father. And it was like this inside joke with them. And she was going on it. So usually it's before reading that things like that happen because I'm almost channeling in before the reading, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Usually not after, and sometimes like directly after a reading, if something comes to me, I'll just send them a quick email or a quick note saying like, and actually this just popped into my head. But not normally like hours after. I'm able to kind of disconnect from that. Definitely things come to me in specific places though. And I've kind of learned, I almost attune it to a radio signal. I've learned to turn it down and up and down and up. And certain places, there's definitely a different frequency than others. Like when we were in Sedona, for example, I was just there. There was a certain places that we went to that I was getting a lot of feelings. And we went into one cave specifically and I could feel, and I was starting to get some things. And I just was like, not the time, not the time, but not when I'm just walking around. But there are some times that I think I try to just keep the volume down so that I can live life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm
But
wondering, Jenna.
sometimes with loved ones in conversation, if I had dinner with somebody at one point and we were having a really deep, meaningful conversation and I was getting something. And if it feels like the right time, I will tell them. That does happen. Like sometimes if I have a glass of wine or something and I'm sitting with somebody and we're talking and I'm like, ooh, and if it feels right and it feels like, and I
Yeah.
usually just know, it's kind of that inner knowing, like, is this the right time to say something or not? And sometimes it's not. And I know, and I can recognize that might not be the right person. They might not be ready to hear this, or they might not understand or be open to it. So I just don't say anything at all. I keep it to myself and I just feel that. But other times it does feel appropriate and I say it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah, because I've thought about that. Like, as a medium, if you do receive something, and let's say you're with a group of friends, like, how do you choose when to tell them? Do you say, "Hey, pull them over to the side, be like, I gotta tell you this," or you just say, or
Yeah.
everybody knows that you have the ability, so they're like, just whatever you get, just say it, but
Yes,
you're able
boundaries are
boundaries.
very
Yeah.
important.
Okay.
Definitely. Because it's definitely not something that I take lightly and that I can just pull out like a party trick. Because I don't like to
Yeah.
think of it like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's easy for people to think that and take it because it's easy for people to take advantage of it too, which
You
I
know,
have to be careful of.
No, absolutely. Yeah. You don't want people taking advantage of you. You just say, "Hey, what?" I mean, do people even ask you like dumb things like, "Hey, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow?" Without looking at the app? Like, do they think that you can do that kind of
Oh
stuff too?
yeah, sometimes
Really?
people say things like that. Or I was talking to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I'm really trying to make this business decision. Can you just tell me what you think?" And I'm like, "Let's just." I'm not one to just give that type of advice. It's not really that because I don't get to choose what information comes to me
Right.
either. I'm the conduit for information. Just
Right.
a kind of, I look at it as like a reflection of consciousness. I don't get to just pick and choose. Okay, I'm gonna, if that were the case, I would be winning lottery tickets all the time.
Right, exactly. Do you, when it comes to connecting and getting the information for people, are like the messages that you're receiving, I believe that we're all multi-dimensional beings, right? There's different versions of us. Are you receiving messages from the current version of that person here in the now? Or could you be tapping into different timelines, potential futures when you give them advice? Do you understand what I'm trying to ask here?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely comes in much different times. I'll get flashes of memories of people on the beach with their grandmother when they were younger, or I'll get flashes of images of young children. And it could be a specific moment or memory in time that they found significant, that specific person's spirit wanted to tell or relay to that person. So, like I had, for example, one reading, I remember there was something about a field and a farm, and I was seeing all these fields and farms, and I got validation from the girl that I was reading that she was, used to run in the field with her grandfather, used to fly kites, or used to run and hide with her sister, and so like things like that come through, or younger versions of people, or I'll get flashes of hospital bed or flashes of specific times in life, but it's all relevant to that person. But none of it, really makes sense to me, but it makes sense to the person. So yeah, all different types of times and space, because I don't think there is like a time and space in all of this. I think whatever way, I don't get to choose how they're delivering me the information or how it shows up. I just get to tell what I see. So definitely
Okay.
all across the boards when it comes to that. It's kind of one of those things like people are like, I can't dial direct, but I just go with the, the strongest pull. So yeah, it's kind of just like I said, those kind of synchronicities that make sense to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's important, for you to also be able to learn how to interpret these things. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did you start learning how to interpret these messages that weren't so clear? These flashes, these feelings, and do you always feel confident that your interpretation is close to almost accurate?
Well, I have to work with the reader. Sometimes it's almost like a puzzle piece to deflect with each other and kind of figure out what these things mean, because sometimes I'll get something that doesn't quite make sense, and then once we talk it through, we're able to. So it's partly me reading the person's energy as well as reading what I'm getting. So it's all, I like to say it's like a three-way conversation of sometimes of us just almost like dissecting, okay, well, wait, what does this mean? And then once we talk it through, we can figure out what it means. Like if I got an example, something for a ring, and I'm like, yeah, they're saying something about a ring, and it's very specific. And then that person can say like, oh yeah, I have my grandmother's ring. It's sitting here. And so it's kind of that, a little bit of all of us working together to figure out what the messages mean. So it's not, I like to say that it's not my job to understand who the sender is or what exactly they're sending to me or why, but me to just put the message into action. So say what I'm seeing in order to dissect what it means.
I
That
understand.
makes sense.
It does. It does. So, regarding your clairvoyant abilities, just as a recap, can you tell us what your clairvoyant abilities are?
Yeah, so there's the different clairs. So clairvoyant is when you can see. So clairvoyant, like I see images, feeling, see different flashes of things like we just talked about. And clairsentience, clairfeeling. I always mix them all up, but there's several different ones. So you can get messages from different sides and different places in different ways. And I get a lot of feelings. So what I was saying, like when I got the person that passed away really suddenly, I mean, my whole body went back and I could feel this jolt. Or there'll be times when I just feel really, really cold or really, really calm. And a lot of times that the person that I'm reading, that we're channeling, they're telling me how they passed is another way that I can find an indication. So like I was saying, I got this jolt because this person had a really, really tragic death or a really calming death, or they fell asleep, or they had heart pains, or I'll get like a stomach thing or something. And then we kind of decipher who that person might be based on that information that I'm getting for feeling wise. And then I hear words as well. And that's a different clair. So I'll just hear specific words. Like I was talking to another woman the other day, and we were talking about, she had questions about a move she was thinking about making. And I heard the word September. And she's like, well, that's when I have the moving truck coming. It's in September. So, it's those types of validations that come through that may or may not make sense at the time, but that one specifically landed. Or I'll get words that are encouragement. Like if somebody's loved one or their guides are telling them that they need to, I'm trying to think of another good example, slow down or speed up. I'll just get little hints like that of just words and inner knowings and then knowing is another one where I just know that, oh yeah, I think I need to say this. So there's different ways that things come through for me at all angles. So it's definitely been a learning curve to figure out. And sometimes I also like to say too, it's like almost a faucet versus a shower. Sometimes stuff just comes pouring in all at once and readings go really fast and I get tons of information. And sometimes it's more of like a trickle where we're kind of just trying to figure it out. So it really largely depends on the person, the reading, the timing, and how it all works. It's different every time.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting because as you're explaining that, I'm also thinking about the audience who's listening and watching that have no idea how to even process this. How would you explain, like, let's talk about when you hear words. Do you hear it just like if somebody was next to you and whispering something in your ear?
Sort of. It's almost like a faint, like, think about when you talk to yourself or when you're telling yourself you need to do something and you can hear the words over and over and over and over and over in your head. It's like that, like this faint, but it's not. I've been working on figuring out when it's me talking to myself and when it's something else coming through. And it's taken a lot of meditating and quiet noise to figure out what that voice sounds like and what's me and what's not me, and getting really quiet to let myself hear it.
Now that makes sense. I appreciate you
And
explaining that.
images wise, and I can go back and explain that too.
Yeah.
By images, when you're reading a book and you get images of what the place might be after you're reading all the descriptive words. I like to think of the images like that. Like I'm seeing them from afar and they're not always super clear, but I get a sense for them. The same way when you're reading a book and trying to create a picture in your mind, or if someone's explaining to you a road or a place or a house and you're trying to generate that image in your head, they come in like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Fascinating. Yeah. I mean, because for people that don't have these abilities, we're always thinking like, how do you know? How do you know? But
Yeah.
it's that, like you mentioned, one of them is that knowing, right? You just know it's not me, it's something else. It's like when you walk into a place, a room, and you just know that it's not right for you. I think,
Yes, exactly.
right?
I
Yeah.
think everybody has this to a degree. And I think a lot of times when I'm doing readings, I'm reflecting back things that people already know, but validating them, which is
Right.
really, really exciting for a lot of people too. And sometimes that can be frustrating if somebody knows that they need to make a big change and they're scared of it. But when they're getting encouragement from loved ones who are seeing it from above and seeing it from this microscope and seeing the big picture, it's helpful to have that encouragement and that validation that, okay, I'm not crazy. This is actually something I need to be doing. So sometimes I can be that for people too. So that's really helpful. I found that to be helpful. And I know when I've gotten readings myself, that's been sometimes how it works out for me too, and what I hear about myself.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was going to ask you, like, what do people normally come to you for, and what they ask for? Because I would think that a lot of people go for validation. Like they already know something, they already feel something. They just trying to go to somebody else like yourself that's more tuned in to just confirm. Oh yeah, that's this, and yeah, that's that. What do people come to you and mostly ask you for?
I think it varies. Sometimes people are coming for comfort and validation. Sometimes people are just curious of who could come through and they feel like their loved ones are with them. Sometimes people are looking for direction in their life and just feeling lost in general and want to feel some kind of sense of ease and comfort of what should I be doing? And can they help me in any way? Are they still here? Or people are coming and saying, those two things for the most part are usually what I see, where people are just, like I said, just curious, like, I don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes people come to me with a specific person that they think is going to come through, and then it's not at all. And sometimes readings can go other ways and involve other family members. I've had one who came to me and half of his reading was about his wife and about things she needed, but it was relevant to him and their dynamic. So the readings can go different ways. And like I said, I just try to go with whatever I'm getting. And it's always, I trust that it's always the right thing that they need to hear.
Oh, that's awesome. So people that come and see you once, are they like lifetime clients? Like, do they say, hey, I want a reading every week? Or what's the average repeat that a client comes to a medium to get a reading Because I don't think this is something that's long term.
For some people, they want to do regular readings. So because they got something out of it and they want to have, some direction and clear things that they want. Like maybe, like I know when I get readings with the girl that I get readings for, I like to do them or I did 4 times a year or something when I was first
Okay.
doing it, just to be able to get different direction. And or if I'm feeling stuck and I feel like I need something, because I feel like, it's just kind of informing, and it's a nice way to get validation of what's going on in your life and get some direction and some comfort. And I think there's just something in informing those inclinations and getting some confirmation and clarity on something that you're looking for. But I find that the emotion code and the psychic mediumship goes hand in hand. I have people that will do, one of my packages that I offer is a series of emotion code sessions with a mediumship reading attached along to the end, because I do use the mediumship in my emotion code sessions when trying to figure out what we're going to work on. And if certain emotions come through or things come through as I'm doing an emotion code session, I will certainly relay the information, because that does happen too. But I do find that the both can sing really well together because they can complement each other in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that's a great transition point. If we could touch base on the emotion code, just to recap to folks that haven't watched the first episode yet, like what is the emotion code? Because when I first heard it from you, I've never heard anybody even use that term. So can you explain to those that are just hearing this for the first time?
Yeah. The emotion code is an energy-based healing modality where I go into your subconscious mind and release up to 10 trapped emotions at one time. And basically, trapped emotions are balls of stuck energy that are stuck within your body that I can then remove, like a splinter, removing them to give you more clarity, space, and just feel better. I mean, honestly, with both the mediumship sessions and the emotion code sessions, one of my biggest things that all my clients say after me is I just feel better. I just feel better. And that's really what I'm looking for everybody out of a reading, out of an emotion code session, is to feel lighter, feel more confident, feel more at ease, and feel more peace. And that's really what I'm trying to do with the trapped emotions, because these trapped emotions are basically just different ways that they trigger emotions in the moment. So when you're in the moment and you're feeling really, really anxious, if you have a trapped emotions of anxiety, that just escalates it that much more. So that's really like a quick overview of what the emotion code is.
Yeah, that definitely works. And folks, I've had an emotion code session the first time that I met Jenna, and I'll tell you what, she released, I think it was like 10 codes, something like that, 10 emotions.
Yep.
Yeah, so
We
we
can do
released
5
that.
to 10 in one session.
Yeah. She released, I think about 10 emotions, and um afterwards I slept. I felt tired. I felt like I was um I don't know if it's mentally, but more or less energetically. I had low energy. I needed to recharge. So can you explain, Jenna, why it is that I probably felt that way after one of your emotion code sessions?
Absolutely. So I almost think about this like I said, taking a splinter out, almost like getting a surgery. You're taking all of these things that have been just lodged into your body and taking them out, which can just cause. So whenever we're done a session, there's a 24 to 48-hour processing time in which your body is healing and processing, living without those emotions, basically. So during that time, your body's healing and going through itself. And during that time, you can get little echoes, which I say are little flashes of those emotions that we released. So say we released an emotion of anxiety, you might feel like a pang of anxiety as it's moving its way through your body, but it's also teaching your body to come back to its own blueprint and learn how to feel the anxiety and let it move through you. Because the reason that these emotions get stuck is because we stuff them down. So when we're feeling really anxious, or if we have a trapped emotion of shock and we're shocked by a situation, but then we just don't let ourselves feel the shock, we just go through the rest of our day. Like if you get hit by a car and then you just get out of the car and you go about your day and you don't let it process through you, that's when they become lodged and stuck. So when they're coming out of your body, it's exhausting for your body. And actually, whenever I release an emotion, and you'll see this in the live demo, I yawn when I'm tapped into your energy and taking them out, because it's my way. I guess it's my body's way of releasing. Not every emotion code practitioner is different. Everybody does it differently. But I know the one girl I work with, sometimes she burps when it's a big one, because it's way of it's making its way through your body. So I know for me too, after a session, I'm normally a little bit more tired, a little more almost flighty, and just feel a little bit lighter. And then there's a couple days of integration time after that. So you're integrating a new body without having this stuff stuck in you. And so that's how it kind of works.
Yeah, beautifully said. And, you mentioned 5 to 10 emotions per session. Again, for those that aren't familiar with this, why can't I just say, do 50, do 100? Why couldn't we do something like that?
I know. I wish we could. It would be more efficient, right? Just get them all out of there.
Yeah.
But the reason you can't is because of, think about when you get shocked, a trapped emotion of shock. If you're in a car accident, imagine doing that 100 times all at once. Your body would just spontaneously combust. So that's why we limit it to 10, because your body can only take so much. And in fact, sometimes I'll do sessions with people and I can only release 8 because their bodies, like when I've done kids, sometimes this has happened. Their body's like, oh, 8 is enough or 7 is enough or whatever it is for that specific focus. Because the other thing that I want to talk about is in a session, and as I've done more of this work, each session we come up with a focus that we're working on for that day. So somebody could come to me and say, I'm feeling really anxious. I want to do an emotion code session. And so I could just sit there and say, okay, let's release trapped emotions around anxiety. But to me, it's more effective if we can talk through what the root of the cause of the anxiety is. So this different than talk therapy, where you can talk through it and you can get it out of your head and get all like, I'm anxious about this, I'm anxious about that, I'm anxious about this, and you're just talk out of your head. This is a way of us to suss out all that noise and say, okay, I'm anxious because of my job. I'm anxious because I want to leave my job. Okay, well, why do you want to leave your job? I'm anxious because I feel uncomfortable in this situation. And we kind of like break it down to the why behind the why behind the why. Very similar to other work where you're just figuring out the fear behind the fear behind the fear and figuring out where it's coming from. And once we get there, and that usually takes me about 10, 15 minutes when I work with a client, and we make a list, and then I will ask your subconscious mind which one we want to work on. And we can do that in your session, and we can talk about, the various things that we came up with. And then that's how I find it to be the most effective, because then we can figure out from there what trapped emotions are causing that specific memory, or where is this coming from? And then we go into the heart, and we're going into the body rather than the head. We're going into where it's lodged within your body and where you're feeling it versus where you're just thinking about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love how you say you do the breakdown of the why behind the why. Because it actually resonates with me. We do something like that in the military. Whenever we try to solve a problem, they call it the 5 whys. And they would just be like, here's the problem. Yeah. Well, why? And then you break it down there until finally you come to the solution. So that's pretty cool that's also something that you use in your healing sessions.
Yeah, to talk further about that. Yeah. I mean, if you think about somebody, because I had, for example, if somebody comes to me and says, this is just hypothetical, somebody comes to me and says like, I'm just feeling stuck. I'm feeling like I'm just too emotional. I can't find my soulmate. I'm going to be alone forever. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, we can just release trapped emotions about your fear of being alone forever, but why are you afraid of being alone? Like, what is it about being alone that's scaring you? Because what I believe is what's happening is the more you say, I'm going to be alone forever. If you are just believing that you're going to be alone forever, and the universe is going to give you more situations for you to overcome that fear of being alone, versus you going out there and finding somebody to be with you. It's going to just test you to realize, you're actually fine alone. But once you're fine being alone and we can figure out all that other stuff we can clean out, then you're going to be more open and attractive to find somebody to come to you, because you're going to be in a different place. You're going to be kind of clearing out all your vessel. Like I like to think of it as, you're having a really fine glass of wine and you're drinking it out of a plastic cup. It's not going to taste as sweet. But if you put it in a beautiful goblet that makes sense in this beautiful glass and you're sipping it, then you're more set up and clear and ready to take what you deserve. So this is just a process of cleaning out your stuff so that you can be more open to receiving and getting the clarity of what you need to know. Because I think all of us know what we need and know what we want, but we just need to clear the space to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. After going through some sessions with you regarding the emotion code deal, I look at it as like I love to get a massage once a month. And that's the physical knots, getting those things out and everything. So the emotion code is like getting the energetic knots out. of your body and everything. So if you're taking care of your physical, also take care of your energetic self, right? So
Exactly.
I think you know what, I haven't done one, but to do a massage and then maybe soon after do an emotion code deal and just see how you feel for that day. Do you think that will conflict if you get like a massage, a physical massage, and then try to do the
I
emotion
was actually
session?
going to say do it the opposite. I was going to say do the emotion code first, and once it's out, they can help move it through. For me, I like to go on walks after or during a session because I feel like it's a way of me moving it through your body. So I actually think the opposite. I think if you go and then have the massage out and as it's making its way through your body, I think it would be a beautiful compliment.
Love it,
Definitely.
folks. Love it. Take notes. Take notes. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, because I do think that everybody processes differently. Like sometimes after I do a session, and I try to do them on myself too to keep myself clear. I really want an extra shower, an extra long shower that day because or sage or whatever feels good to you in your moment. And the whole idea is for you to be able to listen to yourself and come back to yourself. And this all goes back to, the emotion code can help so many things. There's mental blocks. With girls that are going through infertility, a lot of those times there's a lot of mental stuff going on with why their bodies aren't allowing them to get pregnant. And there's a fear behind, and actually a fear that they're not addressing that might be behind the. Or so just getting to the root of it is really getting to the nuts and bolts of it. I had somebody who was really afraid. She was just feeling all this anxiety at work and about her presentations and just so nervous. And, after talking for 10 minutes, we realized there was actually one specific presentation that it was when this started. And so we clear tracked emotions around that memory of that specific presentation. And then after 2 sessions, she had the best presentation she ever had. And called me afterwards. And then I had somebody else who after just 2, and sometimes it takes, several sessions, and I could do a heart wall, which is a whole nother thing where you build an energetic heart wall around your heart that I can release in a package. But people will come and, I got a message the other day, someone I've been working with, she went off her Xanax. She said she sleeps better. She used to be having these incessant anxiety attacks. And she was like, and then sometimes it's so easy to miss too. Like she was like, yeah, I haven't had a panic attack in a month. Wow. Like it kind of took her a minute to realize, because sometimes when it's gone so fast that you don't even remember that you had it. I liken it to like a pregnant woman who gets pregnant and they're so sick in the first trimester. And then at the end of their pregnancy, they have the baby and then they're like, oh, I kind of want to get pregnant again. And they forget how sick they were and how awful it was because you're like, wow, I'm in this new joyous place. So sometimes it's easy to miss how much has come from you. I had another woman the other day say to me too, in my 48 hours, I kept waiting for this doom to come back. Like it feels so freeing. Like when is this heaviness going to come back? And it just didn't come back. So it's very subtle, interesting work that, just like I said, all of this to be said, simply, I just want to make people feel better and get more clear and be able to listen to themselves more. And because a lot of times people know what they need, they know what they want. And this is just my way of helping them get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you explaining that. And I want to make sure that we cover something that I think it's new that you're trying now. You're trying to also help out folks with PTSD.
Yes. That's definitely something that I can address and that I've been working with some clients on, specifically in the military, who just have these memories and things that are affecting their everyday life and they don't realize they're affecting their everyday life. And, some of those memories. And so we talked about a little bit about what each trapped emotion could be. It could be yours from a certain age. It could be inherited from somebody. It can be shared or absorbed. Those are 2 that I don't get as often, but a shared trapped emotion is one where you are with a group of people and like say there's an earthquake and you all are shocked at the same time. That would be a shared trapped emotion. And for somebody in the military, a shared one can come up when there's obviously a lot of things that can happen overseas that no one needs to talk about, but I can clear those trapped emotions from those experiences to help people feel lighter. Because PTSD is something that can help people. There's a lot of different modalities and talking. You can talk about those experiences, or a lot of people don't want to talk about those experiences and they just stuff them in. And this is just a way of clearing out all of that trapped junk to help you feel a little bit more lighter. So it's definitely something that can help people whether their goal is to get off medicine, whether their goal is to just feel lighter in their day and feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. I love that you're doing this work. Folks, if you are listening or watching to this episode and you feel like you have PTSD or you've been diagnosed with PTSD and you feel like, the current direction, the places that you're going to isn't really giving you the satisfaction that you're looking for, try something new. Try the emotion code. Talk to Jenna. Reach out to her. Her information is going to be below in the description. See what that'll do for you. You might be pleasantly surprised. So I'm glad that you're sharing
when
that
people
with us.
come to me and tell me that they stopped their Xanax, that they're not having these anxiety attacks, that they are able to sleep better and, see more clear and be more open with their loved ones. And that's another thing people come to me for is if they're feeling really stuck in their relationships or really stuck with money and they feel like they're in these chronic bad habits where they just can't stop spending or they can't really feel present with their loved ones or they just feel like they can't feel anything. I had a woman come to me and she said, I just can't feel with my husband. Like I can't feel connected with him. And releasing trapped emotions helped them and their relationship continue to grow and become closer. And now they're having, better intimate time than they ever had before. So there's just things like that this can really work through because you don't realize how guarded you are from those experiences and how they affect you in day-to-day life. And this is just a way to clear out all that stuff. And it's wild how spot on this can be, and it's wild how you'll see in our demo, and I plan to post some example sessions of somebody, for example, who had this trapped emotion of shock from something that happened in the military that was directly related to how they feel about their relationship with their parents and how that shaped why they went into the military in the first place or why they did a certain thing that they did because they weren't feeling appreciated at home. Or there could be an inherited trapped emotion from somebody. I had somebody who was way back, somebody that was overseas in the Holocaust, and that trapped emotion of fear was trapped within them. And it was showing up in other areas of their lives that directly related to the focus that we picked. So anything can cause anything, and it all can relate to it. And it's just really interesting to see where we can go with it.
I'm glad there's people out there like yourself that are doing this work because, this type of healing modality should be everywhere, And I think, and I don't know if you've heard this, but I heard the VA, the veterans, I believe they're also entertaining stuff like this. Like I know they're doing Reiki and things like that. Have you considered working with the military in some type of fashion later on down the line?
Absolutely. I think that this could be fantastic for them. I'm not certified in Reiki, but I'm familiar with it. It's similar type of modality where they're working with the energy fields and frequencies. But I know in cancer patients who are going through specific things, I've seen a lot of this work done with them too, to help with hormone balances and help people just get back to a better state. I find that the more you can clear this stuff out, the lighter and, better that people could feel. Because a lot of this, I think every disease comes from dis-ease. I really believe that. And I think there's a lot of it can be mental. And when you can clear out a lot of the stuff that is causing that noise to make you feel a certain way. I mean, I was able to work with people on chronic migraines that were getting migraines from just this belief that they weren't good enough. And it could be stemming from something. And it shows up in our physical body. Think about when you're really, really stressed and your shoulders are uptight and they're just like, and what's going on? And I know for me, when I'm really stressed, it shows up in my lower back. So, and each of these emotions are linked to specific body parts. So, like for example, the liver or gallbladder has anger, bitterness, guilt, hatred, resentment. So think of an alcoholic and or even someone that had a parent that was an alcoholic. And a lot of that stuff could have been lodged within them. But to go back for the military, I mean, when you go through those painful situations, that stays with you. And this is just a way of releasing that burden that they've been carrying for so many years.
Yeah, absolutely. And two more questions before we wrap things up. One question is, just to be clear for everybody that's probably curious about this, once you release an emotion, can it come back?
So the short answer is you can still get trapped emotions, and we all still do. But the trapped emotion that I released from that specific event cannot come back. No. So if you have an inherited trapped emotion and I released it for you, for your father's father, whoever else was in the line, that it's gone and it's cleared for all of you. And not to say that you can't get another trapped emotion of fear relating to something else, but the idea is the more that you clear, the more your body will learn how to process emotions so that they don't become trapped the way that they used to become trapped, because your blueprint is being cleared. So that when you do feel fear, your body will learn more to feel it in the moment and let it pass through versus getting stuck the way that it was. So no, one that we release will not come back, but that same type of emotion can come back in a different way.
Yeah, that explains that. I love that. It's like if I'm scared of dogs, that fear of that scare is gone, but then I'm also scared of roller coasters. It's still a fear and everything, but it's a different deal. So,
Right.
and I like the fact that you mentioned to everybody that's hearing this is that not only do you clear from that person, but you clear from everybody else that it was attached to their father's father, things like that. That's a beautiful thing. I didn't know that's something that could happen, but great. Everybody's
Yeah.
fixed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, Jenna. So what we're gonna do is as we come closing to the show, I'm going to ask you 6 questions I ask all my guests. And then folks, like I said, stay tuned because Jenna's gonna do a quick little live demo on me. So if you're interested, after we finish the show, stay tight for a little bit. Check out that video so that way you have an idea of what a session looks like with Jenna. Okay. So with that being said, Jenna, my first question is going to be this: beyond all the knowledge and experiences that you've gained, what still leaves you in awe or makes you question everything?
Where exactly I'm getting the messages from, because I'm just think of myself as a conduit and I don't always know exactly where they're coming from. I don't know if I'll ever know. I don't know if I need to, but I always am learning and I think I am continuously learning. And I'm just, I love to continue to learn and know where they're coming from, but I still don't know. I don't know. But all I know is they're coming and the right things are coming and I'm just going with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think is the ultimate purpose of life?
Oh gosh. I think to be your authentic self and to listen to yourself. I think a lot of us look outside of ourselves for a lot of things and there's a lot of noise and I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it right now, trying to come up with my social media strategy. And I think there's so much advice and noise, but the more that we can come back to ourselves and into our hearts deeply in our soul, I think the more aligned we all will be. The more we can all get aligned with who we are truly, the more purposeful everyone will be able to lift each other up. Because I think if we're all in our right lanes, everybody would be doing what they wanted to be doing and it would
Yeah.
work more harmoniously.
I love it. What is your definition of God?
I think God is a higher power, a light. And I think God, light, higher power, spirit, whoever it is, lives within all of us and works through all of us in beautiful ways every day if we allow it to.
I love it. And what's love?
The most important thing, the highest frequency,
No,
the
that's
highest
okay.
frequency of being.
Fair.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And if you could go back to talk to young Jenna, what would you tell her today?
Small steps equal big change. You don't always have to know everything. It comes when it comes.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. And Jenna, again, it's been pleasure having you on the show. You definitely, and I'll tell folks this here too. I think you were maybe the third episode that I did when I first started my podcast career. And you made a huge splash, a huge impact. I was so blessed. I was like, wow, I talked to a medium and someone who does something that I never even heard about. Like it was fresh and new for me as well. And for folks that were hearing it for the first time, then that episode and even this episode, I have no doubt that they're going to be inspired, curious. There's questions and things like that. And if you guys do have all these questions that I had, Jenna's information is down below. So make sure you reach out to her, email her, chat her, all that good stuff. Schedule a
Please
session.
email, DM, have a chat.
Yeah.
Open. Like I said, I really want to reinforce that I like to meet people where they are. Like I said, tailor packages to people specifically, can do email sessions, lots of different options.
Awesome. And Jenna, what's one last thing you'd like to tell the audience before I wrap things up? And then again, folks, there's going to be a live demo video at the end of this episode.
I would just say be open. Just be curious. Be curious.
I love it. Very simple, straight to the point,
Yeah.
and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And folks, again, I appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please help support the channel by liking it, subscribing it, sharing it with your friends. Talk about it at work, talk about it at brunch, dinner, put it on your socials, for this, but make sure that you're having a conversation. Okay. Make comments. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like, what you didn't understand, what you found something new. Put it all down in the comments. Ask the questions. The most important thing is that you're having a conversation, that you're talking about it, that you're conversing, that you're opening your mind, and more importantly, you're remembering. And also, folks, keep in mind here, check out my website. You'll see here below. There's a lot of good information in there about what I do here for this podcast. A lot of my guest information are on there as well. And if you're into the mind, the possibilities of the mind and the abilities, I also do Mind Sight. So check that out on my website as well. And folks, I have a new book. All right. I have my first book ever. It's on Amazon now. Check it out. Go to the website, get all the information. And Jenna, I'm excited to start doing this demo.
Perfect.
All right, folks. And this was fun. And as a reminder, I love you. I see you. I hear you. I am you. Continue to ask questions. Don't be afraid to pull back the curtain and take a deeper look. Always reaching beyond the frequency. All right, folks. Thanks for sticking around and checking out this live demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back and I'm going to be the client, and Jenna is going to take over, and this is her session with me. And Jenna, please tell the folks what this session is about and what to expect, and I'll be here.
Perfect. I'm going to just explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it so that everybody's on the same page. So I'm going to do an emotion code session with Cesar. Before this, we had 2 sessions. So I can do email sessions. I prefer to do in-person sessions, but I want to meet everybody where they are. Email sessions are just as effective at clearing the trapped emotions as long as we can chat and come up with what our goals are and what your statements are prior to. So what we did was we emailed and chatted back and forth to come up with 4 statements that Cesar wanted to work on. And we focused on 1 for the last 2 sessions. So this will be the 3rd of the sessions. I usually recommend doing an introductory session with at least 1 or 2 follow-ups and then a package. Those are my, what I typically recommend just to dive deeper. But 1 session, 2 sessions can be very impactful. So definitely be open. And like I said, email and in person is just as effective. It's just a way for me to talk things through. So the last time we had a specific focus, and today our focus is going to be releasing any trapped emotions that are holding him back from his dormant abilities, because Cesar's currently working on really coming to some of his abilities. And we had talked through other statements that were directly related to the dormant abilities being unlocked. So we worked on those statements more personally. And now this one is what we're going to be focusing on today. And I can release 5 to 10 trapped emotions in a session. Today, I'm going to release 5. I did 10 the last 2, just so for reference. I have a chart that I use that I use to go through and find the emotions and then where they come from and where they're located, if they were inherited, if they were common, and I'll just talk you through as I go. And then I have a chart here where I fill it in and I send it to Cesar afterwards so he can see all the notes, what emotion was released, what type, what age, all the information so that he has it. So that's how a session works. So as we begin, I just take a moment of silence to set an intention for the session to be the highest of light, to release these trapped emotions for him, to help him with the emotions that are holding him back from his dormant abilities. And then I use muscle testing to tap into his energy field. So then I am tapped into his energy field, just like you're connecting to Wi-Fi, I'm connecting to Cesar. So that's what I'm going to do now. It only takes a couple minutes, not even just a minute. So I'm going to take a moment to set an intention. And now I'm going to use muscle testing. I use my hands. So there's different methodologies of muscle testing you can do. Some do a ring test, finger tests. There's a bunch of different ones that you can do, but I use my hands. So I'm going to do that. Tap into Cesar's energy field with your permission. Do I have your permission, Cesar? I always like to ask and make sure.
Yes, you do. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Now I'm all tapped into his energy field. So now I'm going to, and during session, I don't always do this, but I want to make sure for this first one, you could see how it works. So I'm basically asking his subconscious mind, are there any trapped emotions holding him back from his dormant abilities? Yes. So I muscle tested and got a yes. That's what I do to start the session. So are there any emotions holding me back from unlocking my dormant abilities? Yes. Okay. So now I'll go to my chart. And the first trapped emotion I found is shame. And now I'll go and see if it was his. Nope, it was inherited. Mom, dad. And it was inherited from his dad's dad. So I will write in his chart that it was inherited from his dad's dad. And because Cesar has 2 children, I am able to ask if either of them had an inherited trapped emotion, this inherited trapped emotion, because it's like eye color. It can be inherited all the way down the line. So I'll ask about his 2 kids, and no, they did not. So now I'm going to ask if it's okay for me to release this trapped emotion. Can I release this trapped emotion of shame inherited from Cesar's dad's dad? Yes. And this is how I release it. I go over my governing meridian, and for an inherited trapped emotion, it takes more swipes. So I swipe over my governing meridian and I clear that trapped emotion for him and for his dad and his dad's dad. The inherited ones tend to take a little bit longer. So now that trapped emotion of shame that was inherited from his dad's dad is now clear from Cesar. And that's how it works. So now I'm going to go through and do 4 more. See what we find. So this is a trapped emotion of unworthy. And this is for Cesar's. So this Cesar is one of yours when you were 19 years old. So this is a trapped emotion of unworthy that Cesar trapped when he was 19 years old. And I'm going to release that one now. And that's 3 swipes for a common. We call them common, and that just means that it's your trapped emotion. And another reference, both of these, shame and unworthy, are both located in the glands or sexual organs of the body. So that gives you a framework for where they are located in the body. So let's see if there's another one. Are there any other trapped emotions holding me back from my dormant abilities? Yes. And this one is shock. And this one is shared. And this was from age 24. So this would have been something that was shocking that happened to Cesar, and it was actually shared amongst who he was with in the moment. Does that resonate with you, Cesar?
Yeah, it does. Around that age, I was first going to my first overseas deployment in Kuwait. I
Wow.
so I was youngish, right? So yeah, there's some stuff there that I not like anybody died or anything, but there's some things going on there at that time because it was just recently the 9/11 had just happened like just 3 or 4 years from that time frame. So yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I can see that. And I was with my buddies, my comrades in the military at that time frame. So
Yeah.
let's get rid of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And did the unworthy at age 19 resonate with you?
Um,
Again, this is
I
information that you don't always have to know what it is, but it's just always,
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know. I figure in that time frame, a lot of us are still trying to figure ourselves out. At 18 is when I joined the military, never left the house. So a year after the fact, I'm trying to prove myself in the military and also to show my parents that I can do it. So maybe there was some unworthiness there at times. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, these are all things I don't have to know, but it is usually, I always like to say, it's usually the first thing that comes into your mind is likely what it was. So just for your frame reference. So let's get rid of that trap emotion of shock. And I set the intention to clear that for you and your buddies and anyone that it was shared with.
Thank you.
Shock's a big one. How you doing over there?
I'm good. I'm good. I wanted to just say that when you first tapped in, when you were tapping in at first, it could be a placebo thing, it could be a visual thing. I don't know, but I felt myself expanding like roam. Like I felt this vibration. I felt it twice and it was distinct. And I was like, is it because she just said that she's tapping it? Who knows? But either way, as soon as you said that, I felt a sensation. That's what I'm trying to get out there to folks. I felt a sensation. I'm going with this part of the process. Didn't feel it before. Don't feel it right now, but I felt it then when she tapped in. So I thought that was kind of interesting to share.
I stand by, I don't have to know why this works. Just know that it does. One of those things. Why do we decide to turn left versus right? Why do we decide to take a shower when we do? Sometimes it doesn't matter. If it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, let's do two more, shall we?
Hmm.
Hmm. So this one is yours, Shane, age 41. So another shame. These are all located in the glands or sexual organs. Interesting.
Huh.
At least that. Shame is the lowest of vibrations. We talked about love being the highest frequency. Shame is the lowest. So let's get this out of there. And again, that could have been you really working on your abilities and feeling shameful that you couldn't get there or that you weren't where you thought you were going to be. So shame, and you know what, actually, why don't I do this? I'm going to read you the definition of shame. I like to do this sometimes when I'm doing a session and people are not sure about the emotion that I'm releasing. So I can always read you the definition for reference. So shame, a feeling of being wrong, defective, or disreputable, the lowest vibration of all emotions. It can lead to guilt, depression, or even suicide. So I
Yeah.
always like to, sometimes it's helpful to read. So let's release that. Get one more out of there. This one's yours as well. And this is from age 22 and it's worthless. I'm going to read the definition of worthless and unworthy so that you know the difference between the two because they're very similar but different. So unworthy is not good enough, beneath the dignity of, not commendable or credible, undeserving, not valuable, suitable, unbecoming. Worthless, of no importance or value, without goodness of character, quality, or esteem, serving no purpose. Let's release that. And now what I do is tap into your subconscious to get your processing time. So 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours. So 36 hours processing time. And now I will set an intention again to seal the intention that I set in the first and disconnect from Cesar's energy. And we could chat for a minute. Setting an intention to help this open up Cesar's abilities and help these trapped emotions release from his body so that he can tap deeper into his abilities. And that's how it works. That's how it's done.
Awesome.
And again, I don't have to go through talking about all the definitions. I don't have to go into detail for this to be effective. It can be a boom, boom, boom. If someone's in a hurry, if they're in a rush, this can be quicker. It can be slower. It's really where I like to meet people where they are and what they need in the moment. If they want to talk through things, I set my sessions for 40 minutes for an introductory one so that I can make people comfortable. And then sometimes package clients, things go smoother, faster, or they can be via email. I can do it and tap into you just like a radio frequency. So, like I said, people can know as little or as less information as they need. It's not any less effective, but I just wanted to walk through all of the details so that you know how it all works. So that's how it's done.
Awesome. I think you
How
did
are you feeling over there,
fantastic.
Caesar?
Yeah, I'm good. I have to process this. Like you said, 36 hours. I have to, I know the routine, because we've done this before. So who knows? I may go take a nap, I may also just need to just go feel like this compelling
Get a
feeling to go
massage?
walk, go get a massage,
Yeah. I always
whatever,
like to
whatever
say,
the case
listen to
is.
your body. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm definitely going to listen to my body and see where that's it. I will say this though. After because you mentioned that we did, 2 email ones, right? Before
Mhm.
this. After the first email session, and I don't know if I had emailed you back or anything like that, but not too long afterwards was where my mind side opened up. Um,
That's
you know,
right.
yeah, it had opened up, and folks, if you're interested about knowing, how that happened, I have it. I'll put it up here in the link on my playlist. But overall, I have to give something credit to it because I'm over here trying to figure out like what's blocking me, what's going on, blah blah blah, and everything. I do this session with you, and then a day or two after this fact, my window opens up, and again, folks, I'm wearing a blindfold, so like it's the whole time I'm just sitting there in the dark doing this, and next thing you know, a window opens up, and I'm like, wow, so I immediately thought about this session because I was processing though. So I'm excited. I'm curious. I'm going with the vibe of this session. See how this further helps me out in my journey. So I'm just grateful and I appreciate you, Jenna. This is a good work that you're doing for me, for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And folks, and before I finish this little clip here, Jenna, do you want to mention anything, like how do you feel after you finish doing these sessions with a client?
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm able to tap back out and back in. I mean, if I do a lot of sessions in a day, I'd like to take a shower and make sure I'm getting everybody's energy off of me at the end of the day. And I have some, meditative rituals that I do for myself. But it feels wildly different than when I have a session done on me or than when I do a session for myself because I'm not taking anything out of my body. But while I'm tapped in, I do often feel like when I tap into you, I feel the masculine energy. When I tap into a child, I can feel, the warmth of their body. Or if I tapped into a CEO woman, and when I tapped into her, I was just feeling her energy. Or if I tapped into somebody who was breast pumping the other day. Because that's what it was on her lunch break, and she was pumping, trying to get through postpartum stuff we're working through, and I could feel some sensation. So I mean, I definitely tap in and feel some things that you're feeling while I'm tapped in. So it's pretty
Wow.
wild.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's just
And sometimes, like I said, I do get downloads. Like if I'm releasing something that's inherited, I'll get a download. I was doing another woman the other day, and I got an inherited trapped emotion from her father, and I was like, it was her dad's dad, and I was like, oh, it was something about when he was overseas, and I'll get certain mediumship premonitions that will come through during that time too. So that does happen during session a lot. So
beautiful thing. So again, guys, that was the live demonstration.
You guys probably don't see a whole lot on my channel of me sharing my personal. That's probably about as personal as I'm gonna get on my channel. If you guys want to see a little more about me, check me out on my social media and things like that, or email me, chat me, comment, things like that. I always respond back, and I love hearing from all of you and having these amazing conversations that I normally have with all of my fans and supporters and things like that. So, folks, we're going to call it a day on this one. Jenna, again, thank you. Folks, if you're interested in the emotion code or having a medium session with Jenna, again, in the description below, check her out, talk to her. If you're curious and you're not sure, jump in, do a session and everything, do a discovery call with her to see if maybe even this is something that you actually would benefit from. So just reach out to her and let her know what's going on and see what she can do for you. So again, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one. Jenna,
thank you so much, Cesar. It's been a pleasure as always.